As a business owner, offer owner, practitioner, what's a strategy that you can use that big businesses use to find top talent when it comes to backfilling positions or even getting the right employee? This is a fantastic question. I'm Scott Sylvan Bell, coming to you live from Consulting Secrets on a perfect day to talk about sales, growth, opportunity, hiring the right employee, and a fantastic day to talk about you. One of the biggest conversations you hear from companies when they hit somewhere around 10 to $12 million is this: we're a marketing company first and a sales company second. And then followed by we're a marketing company first and an HR company second. And the reason that I want to target this is the whole thing about acquiring top talent. And so at that 10 or $12 million mark, usually an HR individual is brought into the organization, and their job, their role, their function is to be the gatekeeper inside of the business. Yay, them. But part of their role, their function, their activities is to constantly be looking for the proper person that could replace people who are going to leave, because big companies know it's not a matter of if somebody leaves, it's a matter of when. And if you're constantly on the move looking for talent and looking for people inside of the business, there's less of a time frame to fill a role that gets vacated. And when it does happen, when a role does get vacated and there's a bunch of people on deck that you could have that conversation about, now you're not trying to scrap to find an okay candidate. You're saying, I've got 3 really good qualified candidates in order to hire somebody. But I'm going to share something with you. In order to make this work, you do need to have a couple of things to your advantage. 1, job descriptions. Okay, job descriptions with KPIs. So those job descriptions are going to say, hey, we're looking for an individual that has XYZ qualifications when it comes to education, 1, 2, 3 qualifications when it comes to experience, and 1, 2, 3 experience when it comes to other things about the role and position that they're in. And then that is the filter, because if somebody doesn't have those, then you're not hiring for that role, that position for them. You're saying you're not qualified. And one of the biggest disadvantages that most companies have is they have to do a ton of OJT, on the job training, which isn't bad in itself unless you're trying to get somebody caught up to speed for the role and the function that they're supposed to be in, right? So if the team is in a learning experience and it's understanding that they're going to be on their way up, there's nothing wrong with that. But for a significant role inside of an organization where you're like, okay, well, you've got 50% of the abilities to do the job, to do the role, we're going to hire you anyway, that gap has a cost associated to it. It has an opportunity cost associated to it. And so by you saying, hey, listen, we're going to harvest what we can throughout the year and we're going to become a recruiting company, it gives you an absolute advantage over your competition. If your competition isn't thinking this way and they're like, well, we'll just take whatever's on the market right now, that is what is on the market for them, versus you, where you're saying, hey, we're going to harvest what's out in the marketplace, plus over here, there's 2 things like this. We're gonna recruit, and we're gonna have a possibility of recruiting, plus we're gonna have what's on the marketplace. You have a better advantage and you have better optionality. And when that happens, that's a better strategy for you, because you can get the individual that you need inside of that role, inside of your business, instead of like, we're gonna hope that we get the right dude or the right chick inside of this place. Now you're saying, okay, we've got a strategy. We've got 3 really strong candidates. They're going to come in for interviews. We're going to have a conversation with them, and we're going to hire the best of the 3. If you're hoping and praying, that what's going to happen is you might have 3 okay candidates, and you're going to have to choose the best of the 3 that were okay. I'm just giving you a different strategy, possibility, opportunity that you could use. And I'm going to give you one last thing as the argument. Where you're going to get pushback from this is from managers saying, well, how do we tell people we're not hiring for the role right now? Check legally, because every state and jurisdiction has different rules. But if you say, hey, look, we're recruiting for when this role gets opened and we want to have this conversation. If you're having that open conversation in the beginning, a lot of people are like, cool, because I'm not quite ready to leave yet. And then it's like a sales process. It is a sales process. You continue on with the conversation. We would love to hire you. We'd love to have you back in. I could think of about 7 years ago where I was looking at a role inside of an organization, and we were talking, and they were like, it's not time yet. It's not time yet. It's not time yet. And then I left where I was, and then they still didn't have room for me. They still didn't want me to be in that organization. And then I started doing something different. And then they called me like 3 months later and they're like, oh, the timing wasn't there. Well, had they would have had a deep bench, I was the first pick, like as rightfully so. But, they would have a second, third, fourth, and fifth. That depth allows for you to acquire the right talent instead of trying to escalate. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with bringing somebody up from the inside. That is a move inside of a business. But if you're looking for speed of growth, you want as much depth as you can on that bench waiting to come work for your organization. But you have to be the type of company that somebody wants to work for. There you go. You got 1 of 3 things to do from here. Just 1 of 3. Find the subscribe button, click on it, and every time I send out a video, you'll get an update. 2, hit follow. 3, you know what you got to do. Share this video with a friend. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.